Thanks for checking out this highlight from the Casually Hardcore podcast. If you want to check out the full podcast after the show, please be sure to hit the top link in the description. But now, let's do it. I'm gonna kind of pull up a question or a comment from chat over on Twitch. Mitty Mitch asked this: how much more steam do you think WoW has? How much further do you think they can go with the current model/grinds? In their opinion, 14 has so much more optional content that isn't required for progression, and it's fun. What do you guys think about that?
So I think that as a retail-based progression, I think we have maybe 2 more expansions. I think after that, it's going to need to be another game. But I think as far as Classic goes, I think it can go to WoW. I don't think it should go past WoW, but I think that's the point where you open up season-based Classic servers. And they were kind of alluding to more Classic servers and fresh Classic servers in the future. I think it's getting to the point, and you're kind of seeing, Shadowlands did a great job. It was probably the best expansion that I think they've done in the past few expansions. But at the end of the day, most of the retail player base is playing it for a month or 2. They're getting bored with the grinds, and then they're stopping. Right. I personally love farming old content, so I'm always good with retail. I can go back into Kara and farm Kara like it's TBC kind of idea. But I think a lot of people are getting to the point where they need something revolutionary. And WoW is just continuing to progress on the same thing. So unless they do something really revolutionary, which I personally don't know what that would be, I think Classic is probably going to be the iteration that keeps WoW alive going forward.
You don't think like the new player experience would be considered revolutionary?
I think that is. But I don't know if that new player experience is something that's going to keep people like it did back in TBC, right?
What do you think?
So the second portion of that comment, I think, comes from just you want different things from different games, because the amount of optional content in WoW is enormous. It's impossible. When you look at creators like Kuhn, who's trying to do all the things, when you look at the fact that WoW had blew up a couple months ago when somebody had completed every single achievement currently in the game as of that day for the first time ever. And people were like, and they were doing the math on it, and they were like, is that even possible? And like the amount of optional content in WoW is enormous. I played all of BFA without playing BFA. I played at launch. I enjoyed it. I saw what the AP grind was, and I zoned out of Zandalar, and I ran stuff for cosmetics I didn't have. I ran stuff for I finally got my ashes of and like I got my ashes mount, and I went back and I ground stuff and had a blast doing it. I learned, wow, okay, I can run Shadow Labs laps in under 6 minutes. And 6 minutes is a key break point because you can only have 10 instances per hour. And so as soon as you're under 6 minutes per lap, you've capped out, and you're now going to hit instance cap in an hour. And so there's all these fun things that can gamify old content. So I think optional content isn't the problem. They've got lots of that. I think the core content, the core loop, has been on repeat for 15 years, and it's iterated and it's changed. And there have been people where they felt class balances were good or certain raid tiers were better than others, but it's ultimately all iterations on the same ideas. And that makes me want to pivot this question to you. Are you familiar with what's happening with PSO2 New Genesis? Because we just saw their event yesterday. And I think that's a direction they could go without shutting down servers. If you think 2 expansions is the deadline, that doesn't mean WoW has to end.
Are you familiar,
with what's happening with New Genesis?
No.
So we're about to blow your freaking mind.
So PSO2, and this is where WoW could do this, is PSO2 was a game that ran and they iterated, right? And it eventually, there's no further they can go. And what PSO2 New Genesis is basically the Destiny 1 to Destiny 2 wipe, right? And so it's WoW 2. But the problem with WoW 2 is, do you just boot up a separate client? And now we've got 3 clients on the same No. Carry your cosmetics, carry your achievements, carry your character. But we're gonna change the battle system at such a fundamental level that you can't bring your characters over. And so how are we gonna deal with that? Well, you're gonna start with a level 1 warrior. You're gonna start with a level 1 paladin. Everything's gonna go back to level 1, but it's basically gonna chromie time you 50,000 years into the future, and you're gonna play in a new game inside World of Warcraft retail. You're going to log in, you're going to level characters up from 1, whole new battle system, all new stats, all new gear, could be different slots. They don't have to have belts. Maybe you can equip 3 weapons. Maybe there's a weapon swap system. It could literally change everything about the game. It has no impact on Shadowlands. It has no impact on Legion. And then you can Chromie time back to that stuff at any time. So you could visit WoW Classic without logging out. You would go back to the character selection screen and you would just be there. And any cosmetics you get, any achievements you get, it's all tracked in one pane. So you're in chat with friends like BattleNet. And so I say, hey, I want to go run Deathwing for some transmog. Do you want to come? Yeah. And you just port right over. You don't boot up a separate client. And when you get the cosmetic, when you get something from Deathwing, you get a cool cape. And you're like, I want to equip that cape. You can carry that into this WoW 2. That's what PSO2 New Genesis is doing at a core concept. And you could say, you know what? We decided Demon Hunters were broken. Fine. WoW 2 doesn't have Demon Hunters. They're cut. Trim them. We don't want to do the faction thing. No Alliance and Horde. Fine. No Alliance and Horde. Like, everything's on the table.
Yeah.
Because it's a different game inside of the same game.
So here's where this personally gets exciting, because like the programmer and the engineer in me has just like, how do we solve this problem? What Mitch here kind of brings out, it's a concept of conversation within MMO, the community as a whole, like that continues to have, like, what about when this game's 20 years old and people still want to play it, but you're not supporting it because it was written on, C++ on Java back in the day, and now something's changed and you're like, well, we're stuck. But with them, that ability to, like, all it is like you're logged in and you go to a kind of a thing and you're like, do I want to play in the what would be considered the current version of PSO2, or do I want to play in the future? Now we see it with Destiny. Destiny just like says, okay, cool, we're deleting planets and moons and stuff. Just blarp. Now it's like, okay, but your character's still there. You still have your stuff. Destiny 1 to Destiny 2 is like, hey, start the heck over. You lost everything. And it's like, so how do you do this? And one of the things that people have found, and I kind of bring this to content creation, like Mixer paid Ninja a crazy ton of money, and they did not follow him over there. Like people are comfortable where they're comfortable. And the challenge with, like, if you released a WoW 2 that was a separate client, like, you're asking people to, like, do this massive migration into this new game. You're asking for a lot of trust. You're asking for a lot of this. And people might be like, all right, maybe I'll check it out for a little bit, but I'm really comfortable here. Or my community just says, if I'm going to move and start over, why would I start over in this same, spot? Let me go start over somewhere else. And
Where's my 400 mounts, man?
Yeah. And like so with them, like, if this is successful, which they're doing the closed beta test this weekend, if this ends up proving to be a successful move, it could reshape games as a service MMORPGs from here on forward, because that could become a part of the plan. Okay, it's 10 years till chapter, like, if you think of all of a sudden these games as services existing in these chapters, okay, and then the players, and you have the ability to carry stuff forward and back with you, but then they have the ability and freedom to really change the game. It's really exciting. So who knows, like, to my opinion on Mitch's thing, like, WoW or 14, like, who, like, it has the steam as people are willing to pay and play for it. As soon as, like, that no longer is the case, developer, like, I think it's more about how much energy and excitement do the devs have. Like, if the devs are able to build what they want to build and they're not, like, hamstrung to, like, okay, well, we can't do that because 10 years ago somebody said this, the devs are probably just going to go, I want to make a different game, and I'll just go find a company that wants to make said game. And so I think essentially it's like, if they can power the creative spark behind it, and also take advantage of the technology changes in the last 10 years alone, and in the next 10 years, it's going to be even more radical. I think MMOs, I honestly believe that we have yet to hit the golden age of the MMORPG, but that's my personal take on it.
I would agree with that 100%. I could dive into a lot of different side tangents, but that's actually a really interesting concept. I really like that, and I'm almost wondering, like, the entrepreneurial side of me is thinking if they're almost split testing that right now, because the new classic servers are going to be a separate client. Mm-hmm. You're still going to be able to hop into it just like you do now with classic versus retail, but now it's going to be a fully separate client. So how many people do go over to that? Just like to your point, not many people will go over to that because they're comfortable in classic and just migrating to TBC. And then on the same point, we do have Chromie time, right? So we could do that old content, but we don't really do that old content. We level up through that old content, but we don't do the end game content really at max level with that. So that's
right.
That'd be awesome.
In Chromie time. What if you had What if your Death Knight, when you chromie timed back into, you're like, oh, I'm right now I'm working on my TBC attunements.
That would be awesome.
Same character.
Now, do you think we'd run into an issue where, Blizzard has iterated WoW so many times that the player base would be split between TBC, Waterkei, Kata, MOP, and you take, just say 5 million people and you put 1 million into each, there's not enough to fulfill the needs of attunements and raids and things like that?
No, because the way the server systems worked back then, they were already fragmenting the population. So the game was designed to run on smaller than 1 million people. So because we have systems like the shard system, you just handle it on the back end. So you just say currently when you chromie time back into Wrath, we're just shoving you all onto the Wrath shard.
Nice.
So no, I think they're perfectly poised for it. I think they've got a big enough player base. Can you do that with ESO, right? Which is still a big game, but is not WoW? No. Can you do that with some of these smaller MMOs that one of us names and we've played and the other two of us go, what? No, you can't. But can you do it with World of Warcraft? Yes, you can. Yeah. You can pull off all sorts of stuff. Final Fantasy XIV is the second biggest MMO in the world, and the developer has been quoted multiple times when he says why a feature doesn't exist as if I had WoW money. Like nobody has WoW money. So can WoW do it? Yeah, WoW can do whatever they want.
That would be awesome. That would be cool.
I hope that you really enjoyed that highlight, and I hope that you check out the full podcast. Again, link is in the description. Thanks for being here, and hope you have a fantastic day, you wonderful, beautiful individual.